The Helix Dawn drifted through the void like a gliding cathedral, sleek, silver, hopeful. On board were families, diplomats, students, and dreamers bound for Terra Nova, a human colony nestled deep in council space. Laughter filled the gardens, kids chased artificial butterflies, and somewhere in the cultural wing, an orchestra rehearsed Earth's Symphony No. 4, composed for first contact ceremonies. The attack came in silence. 6 Zarkali warships decloaked at 20 kilometers. No warning. No demand. Just fire. Their beam lances carved through the Helix Dawn's hull like razors through silk. One moment, a father held his child near the viewport. The next, the stars swallowed them both. Deck after deck crumpled inward as pressurized gas screamed into space. The last transmission was static mixed with screams. And then it was gone. Commander Alara Voss stood motionless inside the command chamber of Argus Prime, her steel-gray uniform untouched, her back straight, her fists clenched at her sides. On the holographic table before her, the destruction of the Helix Dawn looped on repeat. Every time the ship exploded, her jaw tightened. A young officer approached, hesitant. "Ma'am, the High Council has requested your presence. Emergency summit." Alara didn't look at him. She simply nodded once. "Record that feed. Every frame." She turned and left the room without another word. Earth's High Council chamber smelled of panic. Politicians shouted over each other, their voices rising like smoke in a burning building. Some wanted retaliation. Others begged for surrender. One ambassador from Europa pounded the table, red-faced. "We are not ready for full-scale war. The Zarkali Empire is ancient, ruthless. They just slaughtered 1,200 of our people," snapped a general. "Civilians!" The doors hissed open. Silence fell as Alara stepped inside. She walked with purpose, eyes forward, posture like drawn steel. No grand gestures. Just gravity. "The footage is verified," she said, voice calm but edged with ice. "The Zarkali made no contact. They destroyed Helix Dawn as an opening move. Deliberate. Calculated." Counselor Barrett, gray and hunched, rubbed his temples. "Commander Voss, what do you recommend?" Her gaze swept the room. "We make them regret the day they learned our name." Murmurs spread like ripples. The president of the Terran Federation leaned forward. "You're suggesting war?" Alara nodded. "I'm not suggesting. I'm confirming. Because they already declared it." That night, in her private quarters, Alara sat alone, eyes on the ceiling, memories clawing through the silence. A photo rested on her desk, her younger brother, Milo, age 12, smiling with braces and 2 large ears. He'd been aboard Helix Dawn, part of a youth exchange program. He wanted to study alien diplomacy. Now his body was scattered across cold vacuum. She didn't cry. She couldn't afford to. Instead, she opened a sealed file. It was time to activate the Unity Protocol. Unity Protocol hadn't been touched in 80 years. Designed for existential threats, it allowed one military figure to command all Earth-aligned forces across colonies and orbital fleets. The last time it was invoked, Earth had nearly collapsed under civil unrest. Her voice was sharp and deliberate as she spoke the command sequence. "Unity Protocol. Authorization, Commander Alara Voss. Threat classification, species level hostile." A soft chime confirmed. All military forces now reported to her. The next morning, the Zarkali message arrived. A holographic projection bloomed in the war room. High Warlord Qatar Zel stood in ceremonial obsidian armor, scales black as oil, fangs bared in a snarl. "I am Qatar, son of Fire Fawn, breaker of moons. We offered you a place beneath our heel. You refused. So now you will be erased." He paused, voice dropping to a snarl. "Surrender, humans. Bow. Or your bones will salt the stars." The feed cut. A stunned silence followed. Then Alara stepped forward. She looked into the camera. "You've mistaken restraint for weakness. A mistake your empire will not survive." She leaned closer, her voice cold as vacuum. "You want a war? Then listen closely, Warlord. She enunciated every word. We don't bow. The war began before the Council officially voted. Across human space, fleets scrambled into position. On Luna, kinetic cannons rotated toward the stars. On Mars, dreadnoughts powered up ancient engines. From Titan to Eridani, vessels lit up like fireflies preparing for a storm. Old rivalries vanished. Colonies that hadn't spoken in decades answered the call. They didn't do it for politics. They did it for the Helix Dawn. Back on Argus Prime, Alara stood on the bridge, watching the growing armada form outside the station's shields. Her aides stepped up beside her. Fleet strength nearing 70%. Reinforcements from Proxima arriving tomorrow. She didn't take her eyes off the viewport. How many captains are afraid? Most. And how many will follow? The aide paused. All of them. Alara nodded slowly. Good. The stars blinked back at her. Because we're going to drag that bastard off his throne, and we'll do it with fire, blood, and every ship we've ever built. The war machine stirred. Across Terran space, starships rose from dry docks like awakened beasts. Dock workers watched from magnetic platforms as hulls shimmered under reactor light. Gunmetal cruisers, carrier-class flagships, stealth corvettes, all coming alive. Unity Protocol wasn't just a command. It was a call to arms. On Argus Prime, Commander Alara Vaz paced before a three-dimensional fleet map. Each unit was a glowing dot, red for unready, blue for combat ready. Too many were still red. Status on the Eridani reinforcement wing? She asked without looking up. Adjutant Reese, her ever-calm second-in-command, replied. 2 days out. They were caught mid-patrol. Running hot to get here. We don't have 2 days, Alara said sharply. Zarkali momentum is everything. We lose initiative, we lose leverage. Reese hesitated. With respect, Commander, pushing tired crews into combat without proper alignment. We're not aligned. We're surviving. She turned voice low. You think Qatar is going to wait while we oil the gears? Reese gave a single nod. Understood. Inside the tactical briefing room, a more dangerous plan was forming. The latest intelligence upload flickered on the wall. Zarkali command traffic, intercepted through a cracked war node, showed fleet movements, and something else. A signature too massive for a scout vessel. It was Royal class. Warlord class? Alara leaned forward. He's coming here. Reese blinked. Qatar? Himself? She nodded. He's leading the assault from his personal flagship. They're routing through a narrow corridor in the Lyra vortex. Faster but unstable. If that shortcut collapses mid-transit, Reese murmured. They'll risk it, Alara said. Because they think we won't see it coming. They think we'll be too busy defending Earth. Reese frowned. You want to go after him directly. I want to capture him. The silence that followed was deafening. The operation plan was codenamed Ironhook. It was as mad as it was elegant. Alara would bait the Zarkali into thinking humanity's defenses were collapsing. A vulnerable battle group, Fleet Theta, would feign disarray near the Lyra vortex, giving Qatar confidence to push forward. The moment his command ship crossed the line, hidden Terran vessels would cut off his retreat. A covert boarding squad, trained in close-quarters combat, would infiltrate during the chaos and seize him alive. Alive? Asked Fleet Admiral Kieran during the meeting. Alara, he's a monster. Why not put a round through his skull and be done with it? Alara shook her head. If we kill him in the dark, he becomes a martyr. But if we drag him across the stars in chains, the galaxy will see the truth. He bleeds like anyone else. Fleet Theta mobilized within hours. The chosen group included 22 vessels, all veterans of the early border skirmishes. Leading them was Captain Juno Kale, a legend in his own right, silver hair, gravel voice, and more scars than clean skin. Commander Vaz, Juno said as they walked along Argus Prime's docking ring. I assume I'm being offered a suicide mission? You're being offered legacy, she replied. He chuckled. Hell of a recruiting pitch. I need your fleet to hold just long enough to draw his flagship into position. Juno's expression turned somber. Some of us won't come back. I know. Good, he said. Because we'll go in with our eyes open. They clasped hands, old warriors with nothing left to prove. Lyra Vortex wasn't a place, it was a wound in space. Distorted gravity, electromagnetic spikes, unstable wormholes. It was unpredictable terrain, dangerous for any fleet. But that was part of the trap. Fleet Theta arrived first, staging a skirmish with automated drones made to look like real ships. They faked reactor flares, launched decoy escape pods, and simulated desperation. Watching from afar aboard her flagship Resolute, Elara waited. Her fleet remained cloaked behind magnetic shadows near an asteroid belt, holding position with absolute silence. Qatar's ship entering scan range, said her sensor officer. Elara stood, heart calm. On my mark, she said. Activate grav piercers and engage rear seal net. Aye, Commander. The trap closed. The Zarkali flagship, Bloodfang, was a monstrous vessel, angular, jet black, alive with red energy veins. It advanced through the vortex corridor, escorted by 2 cruiser guards. The moment it crossed the threshold, Terran mines detonated behind it, collapsing the wormhole path it had used. Rear path sealed, came the report. On board Bloodfang, chaos erupted. Terran stealth ships decloaked, launching precision volleys that shredded the escorts. Bloodfang turned to fight but found its systems jammed by a focused electromagnetic pulse. Inside the storm of ion and plasma fire, the boarding shuttle Ghost Knife slipped in. 12 Terran Marines breached Bloodfang's outer hull. Gravity was erratic, lights flickered, and the air stank of burnt ozone and alien blood. The Zarkali soldiers fought savagely, for limbs, claws, and venomous saliva, but the Marines were faster, armored, brutal. One by one, they pushed deeper. At the center of the ship stood Qatar. No armor. Just blood-soaked scales, standing tall among the corpses of his guards. He'd killed 3 of his own lieutenants for hesitating. His claws were red to the wrist. You dare invade my throne? He roared. The Marines surrounded him, forming a circle. He lunged. 2 went down screaming. Then Elara stepped through the smoke. Her exosuit hissed as she raised her rifle. You're not a god, Qatar. Just another tyrant who thought we'd roll over. Qatar grinned, blood on his teeth. Even now you fear me. I don't fear you, she said. I've buried better monsters. She fired. A cryo round slammed into his chest, freezing his limbs mid-charge. He fell, snarling, still conscious, unable to move. Back on the Resolute, Qatar was dragged into the brig under heavy guard. His eyes burned with hatred as the door sealed. Reese stared at the prisoner through the reinforced glass. We got him. Elara didn't reply. Her eyes were already on the next step. We're not done yet, she said quietly. Reese turned. What's left? She looked out at the stars. No, she said. We make the galaxy watch. Qatar Zel, supreme warlord of the Zarkali Dominion, awoke in chains. He was no longer aboard his flagship. The silence told him that much. No hum of Zarkali reactors, no scent of his warship's incense. Only the sterile chill of a Terran prison cell, reinforced walls humming with containment fields. He strained, but the cryobind on his joints still lingered. Every movement burned. Across the thick glass stood Commander Elara Vos, arms folded behind her back, expression unreadable. You'll be executed, Qatar rasped. Or tortured. It makes no difference. My people will burn your world for this. Elara stepped forward, voice low and calm. No. You'll be delivered. His reptilian eyes narrowed. Delivered to what? To history. The galaxy watched. A broadcast signal, encrypted but deliberately unshielded, rippled across known space. Every planet, every trade station, every frontier moon that picked it up paused. The feed opened with silence, then a slow pan across the ruined skyline of Thratha IV, the Zarkali homeworld. Smoke still rose from the capital city. Rebellions had erupted the moment the warlord disappeared. Now Terran gunships hovered overhead, keeping order not through fire, but presence. Then came the image that shook the stars. Qatar, bound in chains forged from Helix Dawn's melted hull plating, was dragged by foot through the center of the city he once ruled. Elara Voss walked in front of him, her back straight, her uniform streaked with ash and blood. Zarqali's citizens lined the walkways. None moved. Some bowed their heads. Others turned away. But they all watched. And so did the rest of the galaxy. On Argus Prime, Admiral Kieran stared at the screen in silence. He muttered, "She's actually doing it." Beside him, Reese nodded. "No execution. No speech. Just this." "It's enough," Kieran said. "More than enough." Elara didn't speak during the march. She didn't need to. Qatar stumbled once, nearly fell. His knees hit cracked stone, chains clanging behind him. He looked up at her, sneering. "This proves nothing," he growled. "You humiliate me." "But the Zarqali rise from fire." Elara turned, face inches from his. "You built your empire on fear. We broke it in a single strike. The galaxy won't forget what we did to you, because we made sure they saw it." She stepped aside. The camera feed zoomed in on his face. Blood in his teeth. Fury in his eyes. An unmistakable defeat. The Dominion fractured within hours. Across Zarqali space, slave species overthrew their masters. Former client worlds declared neutrality. Warlords once loyal to Qatar began turning on each other, desperate to claim scraps of power. The Galactic Council convened an emergency session. The motion to revoke the Zarqali's council seat passed in under 5 minutes. Humanity was offered the vacant chair. Elara refused it. Back on Earth, a memorial service was held for the Helix Dawn. Families gathered beneath the monument, 12 massive columns of black stone, each etched with the names of the fallen. Children held candles. Veterans stood in silence. A violinist played beneath the stars. Elara stood at the edge of the crowd, watching. No speeches. No cameras. Reese appeared beside her, holding a folded flag. "Fleet Theta lost 19 ships. Juno's was among them," he said quietly. Elara closed her eyes. He knew. He always did. She took the flag, pressing it to her chest for a moment, then handed it to the nearest family member, a boy of maybe 10. She knelt and whispered something in his ear. He nodded. Then she walked away. The council met again weeks later, this time on neutral ground. The Helix Accords were drafted, ratified, and adopted within one session. The law was simple. No civilization shall initiate armed conflict with a species below interstellar level 1 development. Violation would result in universal sanctions and forced disarmament. Some called it a political move. Others called it overdue. But no one questioned its name. Everyone remembered the Helix Dawn. Months passed. Zarqali space faded into silence, its former territories now under reconstruction. Terran forces didn't occupy, they advised, helped rebuild, and left. It earned them something rare in galactic politics: respect and fear. On the edge of the galaxy, in a quiet valley on a small world far from Earth, a Zarqali child sat with her father. She held a datapad, scrolling through archived history streams. One stopped her. "Papa," she asked, tilting her head, "did the humans really drag the warlord through the streets?" Her father, a former soldier with old scars on his arms, nodded slowly. "They did." "Why?" He stared toward the horizon, where stars shimmered beyond the clouds. "So we would remember. So the stars would remember. That even the mighty fall, when they mistake silence for weakness." The girl paused, then whispered, "Were they monsters?" "No," he said. "They were angry. And no one listened." Elara Voss never returned to Earth. She declined parades, statues, and medals. Instead, she vanished into the quiet sectors of Terran space. Occasionally, she'd surface, training officers, advising governors, visiting old veterans. But never the cameras. When asked once why she disappeared, she simply said, "I didn't fight so they'd remember me. I fought so they'd never forget what happens when they corner us." Humanity was no longer dismissed as young. They were no longer ignored. From that day forward, every alien war council that ever considered Earth as a target remembered one image: a fallen king, bleeding and broken, dragged through the ruins of his own empire. And the woman who led him there, silent, relentless, and unafraid.